is another stand your ground story out of Arizona where an unarmed pedestrian was shot to death by a man in a car who was obviously armed. This story is ridiculous. I think it's even more egregious than the Trayvon Martin story because I don't think that anyone can make an argument that there was self-defense involved. Now, we have a local news report that goes into the detail of the altercation that took place prior to the shooting. Let's watch.
I'll never see my brother again.
Her brother, Daniel Adkins, shot to death at this Taco Bell near 51st Avenue and Baseline. Atkins walking his yellow lab named Lady towards Taco Bell when police say he got into an argument with the man pulling out of the drive-thru.
I just think he was just too aggressive.
My son does have a big mouth. He will say something.
But the family feels a verbal argument and Atkins throwing a punch does not justify murder.
So the victim here was unarmed, okay? In fact, when police arrived to the scene, they searched him. They didn't find a bat or a pipe. They found nothing on him. As I mentioned, the shooter was in his car.
Now, the guy who had shot him said, look, I had an 8-month-old pregnant girlfriend with me. I was worried about her safety. I was worried about my own safety. And he had a bat or a pipe. But if he had a bat or a pipe, you'd have found it. And not only was there not a scratch on the guy, there was not a scratch on the car. So if he had anything and magically got rid of it before he was shot, well, wouldn't you have seen some sort of damage to him or the car? But it's so ridiculous that the cops, because of the stand your ground defense, couldn't even bring the guy in for questioning. Now, it's, again, their interpretation of the law. I don't agree with the law. I don't even agree with their interpretation of the law. But it inhibits the investigation completely because then the guy has an opportunity to go home, make up a story, et cetera, et cetera. Whereas if you had brought him in and questioned him and you'd done regular police work, you might have found out inconsistencies in his story, et cetera. It might be easier to prosecute. Now, we don't know if they're ever going to prosecute him. And to me, this is absolutely clear. There is in no way lethal force that he had to counter with self-defense. You see what I'm saying? Like, he even said at one point, the guy who did the shooting, said, well, I didn't think he was going to kill me, but I thought maybe he could do me some more harm. So is that the new standard? And remember, they let him go. Okay, still not arrested, right?
And this happened on April 3rd, by the way, and he's still free.
Okay, so it's been nearly 2 months now. So that's the new standard? If you go and start a fight with a gun, another guy doesn't have a gun, if you think that he's in any way a harm to you, that he might push you or he might touch you, you just shoot him in the head and be like, well, that's it, stand your ground. Okay. So now, of course, NRA loves this because in a world that crazy with those laws, well, you have to get a gun. If you don't get a gun, you have no rights. The guy with the gun has all the rights. The guy with the no gun has no rights, right? And if you shoot him dead, then you've got even more rights. Because remember the lady who didn't shoot her husband dead, she shot into the ceiling, she couldn't use stand your ground, right? But if she'd killed him there, well, then there's no one to dispute it, and you have to take the guy's word for it. Because the way the law is written, especially here in Arizona, is that they say if there's no evidence to rebut that guy's case of self-defense, his argument for self-defense, then you have to believe him. Well, that's crazy.
It's the most ridiculous law I could ever imagine. And there are currently 21 states that have the same law, but different variations, exactly.
So you have to, the guy who is dead is assumed guilty unless proven innocent, although you would never really get a chance to prove him innocent because you're never going to have a trial because the guy said, well, I had to shoot him, so you have to take my word for it. Even if there's no weapon on the guy, even if there's nothing, there's not a scratch on the guy who used self-defense, doesn't matter. You have to believe it. This is madness. And by the way, this is interesting because the races are flipped here. So this is not a case of racial discrimination or anything like that. And I think that it goes to show how horrible stand your ground is under any and all circumstances. You can put any race you like on it. It doesn't really matter. What matters the most is whether you have a gun or you don't have a gun. You got a gun, you can do anything you like, kill anyone you like. You don't have a gun, well, you got no rights. Look, one last thing on this. Think about it this way. You want to go murder someone? You just grab a gun and pick a fight with them. The minute that they fight back, or even if they don't fight back, you shoot them, and then you say, oh, he fought back. That's it, I stood my ground. How easy is it to murder people now in Arizona, Florida, and those 21 other states? Painfully easy.
But you're totally right about the NRA. They support laws like this because it gives you an incentive to buy a gun. They want to arm every single person in this country. And they want people to live in fear of someone killing them, someone shooting a family member, and never paying any consequences for it.
Yeah.
We're moving backwards in society when it comes to guns. And we're so obsessed with guns that we let it happen, that we're totally okay with it. No, we got to deregulate. It doesn't matter. Everyone should have a gun. Why? So we can live in a society based on fear? Why are people in favor of that?